Hello and welcome to this video tutorial. Here I'm covering again another concept in economics, and this video tutorial is specifically dedicated to the factors of production. So we are going to look at the factors of production in economics, the rewards to factors of production, and the mobility of factors of production. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe for more updates. Let's dive into this concept today. So, factors of production. We are asking ourselves, what is this thing first we are calling production? In economics, we say that production is the process of combining resources, inputs, and the end result of production is to create goods and services. These are items which are meant to meet our needs and wants. So we are asking ourselves this highlighted area here, the resources, the inputs, these are the things we are coming to mention that they are now the factors of production, the things which we need in any production process. Think about any production process, the things it needs, how they are combined together to produce either a good or a service. Let's dive into these factors of production. The definition so is this: the factors of production in economics, we say that these are the resources. These are the resources which are required in production of goods and services. Think about any production unit and ask yourselves, what things do we need to have for us to produce that good? You'll come to realize that there are so many resources which are put together for any production unit, and these are now the factors of production. What are these factors? We have the first factor of production that must be there. We have land. Think about any agricultural process, any site, any place which is set, any factory must be set in a place where there is some land. This, we have another one which is labor. This labor again, think of any production unit which does not involve people offering some work, that is offering and selling their labor. The capital, we shall see here in business, most people think about money, but we shall see what exactly is capital when it comes to factors of production. And lastly, we have enterprise. So what is enterprise? You have heard of entrepreneurs. We shall see here in this tutorial what do we mean by enterprise when it comes to factors of production. Let's now move in and look into each of these four factors of production: the land, the capital, the labor, the enterprise. Starting with land, I have some images here to make it clear on what you mean by land. The first image is showing some agricultural process or output. Here we can see something to do with mining, so we have minerals. Here we can see some fish, means that we can have some fishing. All these are resources, and these are resources which are provided by land. So land here becomes a factor of production. So what is land in terms of production? Here we consider all the natural resources, including the land itself, all the natural resources which are used in production. Remember, piece of land, the space itself, it's already a factor of production. Examples, we can have the oil. These are now minerals. We can have water, wood, metal, or minerals. We can have agricultural products. Anything which is associated with land or obtained from the land goes to the factor of production, which we call land. Then we have labor. I know this is quite easy, and all of us can relate that in any place where we have production, we must have some workers. You can see here we have skilled workers. But here we can have more than what you can see on the image. So here, labor, we focus on the human resource, and we are saying that both skilled or unskilled. Mostly we have skilled labor being more expensive. This is where we come to management, accountancy, such skills like consultancy, they go to the skilled labor. Unskilled labor, we can have now the people doing the manual jobs. So human resource is the factor of production labor, and it is a very key and basic factor of production in any production process. Going forward, we have capital, and here I want to demystify something. Many people think about money. When you mention capital, they think about money. You want to start a business, somebody will ask you, do you have the capital? In mind, they mean the money. But in economics here, the basic question is, yes, capital is part of the money, but what do you want to do with the money? Then you'll realize that eventually you want to purchase the things which you need in order to run the business. For example, you want to purchase the machines, and these machines now and the equipment, they are the ones we refer to as capital, together with the money which you have put there. So we are saying that capital basically, we look at the machines, we look at the tools, we look at the equipment which are used in the production process. These are now what we call capital goods. We use them to produce other goods. In short, capital is referred to as a producer good because you can use capital, the machines, which is part of capital, to produce other goods. It's actually referred to as a means for further production. It is produced itself, then it is used to produce other goods. So we are saying that the machines and the tools and the equipment we have in businesses, you can think about the computers, you can think about the machines like the ones you can see in this background. These are car production unit. All those machines go to capital. Good. Next, we have enterprise. You have heard of entrepreneurs. So, entrepreneurs, they give the factor of production known as enterprise. So, what do they bring into the production process? They bring in the skills and the expertise, and this is the owner of the business, the owner of the production unit, who have come up with the thought of now coming up with all the other factors of production, assembling them, and coming up with a product. We say that these entrepreneurs, they are the ones who take all the risks. They are the ones who choose to start that business, and they say, I'm starting the business. So they take the risk, they combine all the other factors of production, and then they start the business. That's why you hear somebody is an entrepreneur, they have come from far. Yes, they have come from far. So entrepreneurs, they give the factor of production known as enterprise, and we shall see something about enterprise as we move on into this tutorial. So we ask ourselves, what are the rewards to the factors of production? If you're offering land, what do you expect in return? If you're offering your labor, what do you expect in return? If you are giving out your skills in entrepreneurship, what are you expecting to get back? When you invest your money in purchase of capital goods, what do you expect back? So the rewards to factors of production are easy. The first factor of production, which is land, is usually rewarded with rent. You give land, you are given rent. That is basic, very easy. The reward to factor of production. We have labor, and from the background, you can see there's money. Everybody who is working is looking for some money, but which name do we give to this reward? We say they are rewarded using salaries and wages. So if you are giving out your labor, you expect some payment, either in form of salaries, wages, pay rates, all that. And then we say capital. When people invest their money, what they expect in return is some reward. So capital here, the reward is interest. Interest is whereby you invest your money, you have put your money there, and you expect that in return you'll get capital interest. Then we have enterprise. Anybody getting to business, their aim is to make profit. So profit is the reward to the factor of production enterprise. I know people want to get into business and their aim is to make some profit. So now let us now move to the next part, and the next part is mobility of factors of production. So we want to look at these factors of production. How can they move? We have two types of mobility. One is geographical mobility, the other one is occupational mobility. Geographical mobility is basically whereby we have movement of a factor of production, movement of a factor of production from one area or region to another. This is a physical movement. If we have a Mexican migrant moving to the US to work there, that is geographical mobility of labor because they have changed their place of work geographically. They have changed physically where they are working to another working area. On the other hand, what is occupational mobility? And here we find out that occupational mobility is very simple from the word occupation. Can you move in terms of occupation? Yes, it is possible. So, occupational mobility is whereby you have the ability to switch between jobs, ability to switch between jobs. What do we mean here? We mean that you've been doing a certain job, then all of a sudden you change that job and start doing another job. For example, an accountant who has been working in a bank, once they stop working for the bank and perhaps they choose to become a teacher of accounting, that is occupational mobility. It can be limited by a number of things. One is the skills needed for the new job, the length of time you need to retrain for the new job. And then also, when you look at geographical mobility, it can be limited by things like these people who don't want to leave their families. We say they are limited by family ties, things like climatic conditions, things like travel restrictions. You need a work permit to the new country or new place. Climatic conditions can also limit your geographical mobility. So this is how factors of production can move. And we say that a country which is having high mobility of factors of production, it stands a higher chance to develop at a faster rate than a country with limited mobility of factors of production. This is still concept in economics and they still be covered in this channel. Make sure you stay tuned and follow up to capture every moment which is shared here. I have a question for you here before I get into the end of the tutorial. Which factor of production must be there before the rest of the factors of production? You can pause the video and then you try to answer the question and see whether you can get that one factor of production which you must have before any other factor of production. Thank you for trying. So the factor of production which must be there before any other factor is the factor enterprise. This is because it is now the entrepreneur who brings their skills first, and then they are responsible for combining all the other factors of production, putting them in place and ensuring that they are started the production process or simply the business. So here we have covered the factors of production and their rewards and the mobility of these factors of production. So that's what I was covering in this video tutorial. Thank you for watching. Remember to subscribe to the channel.